Hello. All right, for today, let me change things up a bit. I got a new setup here, and I figured I gotta start kind of making a little bit more structure in my videos before I kind of just thought about making them just to make them. Kind of get me into the habit of it. So I kind of got used to that a little bit now. But yeah, we'll dive into the goals I have for the year. Um, yeah, I worked in tech for a while, and one thing that I learned a lot is I'm kind of good at project managing. There's systems called Agile, Scrum, whatever you want to call it, where they break down software into like chunks of work. Like what's the whole thing you want to accomplish, and what are the pieces you need to put together in order to make it happen, to make sure you kind of inch towards that goal. So I started thinking about what I actually wanted to do, and I came up with a little list. So I think it's important that you have a clear idea of what you want to do, especially if you're like me and you have like way too many things sometimes you want to do. You're not really sure how they all fit together, or you tend to like hop from one thing to the next without sticking to it. So yeah, I think breaking them down helps a lot. So what I came up with was this. So these are just 5 things. First one is obviously make YouTube videos. That's kind of what I'm already doing now. And I tried to make it easy for myself. So I just start making them. I don't think too much about the production, the lighting too much. Other than my little candle here, it's been consistent. But otherwise, I just kind of let myself wing it so that I can at least just do it and figure it out as we go. Second thing, write a new book. I have written a book sitting right here before, but when I read through it this past few months, I figured that it's not bad. Still needs more work, but it also doesn't quite align or feel the way I want it to. And the scope and the kind of tone of it can change and how it's presented. So that's been on my mind. So I kind of wanted to start a new book and try to do it a little differently. But that's like a pretty big task. I know that takes a while. Next one is creating a mental health training program. In some of my videos so far, I've talked about, learning to calm down and check in with myself. I've also been dealing with some burnout with work and figuring out my own anxieties and my behaviors at work and why it makes me feel that way. And I've been reading a bunch of books about trauma and how people deal with those things, because the trauma sort of embeds itself in your head and it becomes the root of this anxiety. And unless you deal with it or sort of resolve it and figure out those triggers, you kind of stay with that anxiety. It's sort of sitting there. I talk about alarms or temperature, and it's constantly like a little bit hotter than it needs to be. So I've been working on learning to do that. But at the same time, I think that, um, yeah, I can come up with the kind of program to like figure out the steps. It goes back to my computer training where I'm like, okay, everything can be broken down into components. I think something similar can be done here. So that's another idea. And then this one has been on the back of my mind for a while, starting a new career in counseling or grad school. As someone who likes to read and research and talk about ideas and things like that, and I care a lot about psychology and mental health, I've been wondering if tech is really something I want to stick with. It's kind of originally switched into it because it was a way to make more money, and there's better like a career path. I have a degree in psychology as well, but I never quite used it. But for the past 20 years since I've gotten that degree, I do love psychology a lot. and I care about it a lot. It's actually the most fascinating thing is that we know so much about, I don't know, like the universe and particles and quantum and how even how the dinosaurs died with a meteor and climate change. But then when we talk about like us as people, um, there's still a lot of like myths floating around and like, personality tests and IQ and stuff, and it's all kind of like unusual. But um, anyway, I've always loved psychology, and I want to like figure out more about it. And I think that there's a lot of room to grow. I do think it's sort of the next big phase of science. It's like we have to understand ourselves, not just the world around us, because we impact our world around us. So part of it is I do want to help other people. So that's the counseling route, is like to learn and train and actually provide therapy and services to people, which I think could be really valuable. But the training programs can be pretty long, so I have to like look into that. Um, but the grad school side is also interesting because I tend to like researching, and I kind of do that naturally. That's where I thought about that mental health training program and things like that. And I've always loved kind of being at school. I know some people just hate it, but I've always found a lot of peace, I guess, at school. And it's fun and it's curious, and everybody is sort of excited, maybe because everyone's younger. But there's like this sort of room to explore things, which I like. So that's why grad school is sort of on the back of my mind too. Um, the downside with grad school is that it generally doesn't pay very much until you spend 2, 5, 7 years finishing the studying. But I guess I have to think of it more like you go through it as the journey, and you get to enjoy the process of learning. And the last one that I have is publish my current book, which is this thing, Finding Reality. So I wrote this in the past, I don't know, couple of years, and it's about sort of the blend that I see happening between or like computer science, like AI, neural networks, and like neuroscience and psychology. They're all sort of like bleeding together into this world of, I don't know, intelligence, or sort of understanding the computation of the brain. So it's definitely a very nerdy book. I do think it's really interesting. The whole idea behind it is that we like don't really see reality. We just perceive things that our brain trained on. Anyway, the idea is okay, if I want to take it seriously, it's sort of done, not fully done, but maybe I could work to find a way to publish it. Maybe that could be through videos or an audiobook or maybe like a whole documentary kind of series or something like that. But the whole idea behind these 5 things is to see how they all fit together and see which ones I can accomplish. Like, for example, the publishing the current book. If I keep making YouTube videos and I get better at it, um, maybe that can kind of segue into this. Maybe I can take parts of this book, which I thought about, and breaking down the chapters into separate videos or into like chapters in an audiobook or something. Um, but yeah, they kind of all align under this area of psychology, though. So that's good that I learned that there's sort of a underlying thread that I want to do. There have been other things that I've been wanting to do, like I used to record music, and I was like, oh, should I redo some of the songs? I always wanted to. I love photography, and I've always thought about making a film. I took a script writing little mini class this past summer, and it was interesting, and I do like it. But part of me wonders if that's what's sort of keeping me off track. Is it is like a way of expressing things, but I think I can do it through these YouTube videos. So I'm trying to like align all my goals together. Um, but the first step is to figure out what it is that you actually want to do and why you want to do them. If you are watching this and you've never done that before, you kind of have to think about it. You have to sit down and write out your goals and see which ones are realistic or not. The second part of breaking these things down is once you have the overarching goals, you can start breaking them down into like actionable steps. Like, for example, yeah, publishing the book. But if I was going to go back to school, then I had to start researching, okay, what do I need to do to get accepted? What are the steps? Do I need to borrow money? Are the programs even right for me? And it might actually like open or eliminate possibilities. If I find that I find more fulfillment making videos and researching on my own, then maybe I don't need to go to school yet. I can kind of push that off. But until you put yourself in that situation and actually start digging into it, you can't really tell. I also found out that the mental health program that I wanted to make and the videos and the book kind of all line up together. Like, if I'm making videos, it's a way of me testing ideas, improving the way I speak and write and like present ideas, which changes how I would end up ultimately writing a book, the new book, not the old one. And also, while I'm making these videos, I can think more about how I want to approach the mental health training program. I can throw out bits and pieces of it and see if any of it resonates with anybody. And at the same time, I wanted to have the time to develop things for myself and like things that, like exercises that I do and things that maybe if I recommend to friends and stuff, that it actually helps and provides progress. So what I'm saying is like sometimes these goals can help feed one another. Um, so yeah, that's kind of where my head is at. And now that I have these goals, the next step is to start, yeah, breaking them down into the steps and start progressing in each one. The nice thing about this system and the whole kind of agile approach is you plan what you want to do under each of these goals for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or a month. You can decide what your block is. They're called sprints. But within, I'd say, a 2 week block, I'll make a certain number of videos, or I'll learn to edit, or I'll learn to add some flair to it, or change how I speak, or make better thumbnails. I don't know. But I can decide what I want to do for those 2 weeks. And then I can also think about what it would mean to publish my book, or I can work to sort of brainstorm what the exercise program would be, or look up stuff for school. And then I can decide if after those 2 weeks, like, did I like what I did? Did it make any progress? Did it give me new answers? Did I like how I approached it? Did I do enough? Did I do too little? Did I do too much? Then you can readjust. And then in the next 2 weeks, you come back and you say, okay, given what I've learned, I want to continue making videos. And then I want to continue working on the mental health program. And the other stuff, maybe I'll push later. But that's the sort of magic of having a system, is that it keeps you on track and it helps you like reflect on what you're working on and whether it's worth your time, or maybe it's too lofty, maybe it's actually too difficult at the moment, or maybe you need to build up certain skills to do it. Another thing that maybe we don't think about is that when we start breaking them down, you see how much you can or can't do, it makes you feel anxious. And that's part of what I'm thinking about, is that if you kind of flesh it out, and you understand how you actually feel about it, maybe it's just sort of a wild dream and you didn't really actually like think about the concrete components of what you need to do. Like in order to make anything real, it has to come out of our heads. You have to actually kind of do the work. You have to put in some kind of action. So you can actually, at least when you break it down, you at least know how you feel about it and whether that thing feels right or not or overwhelming. Or maybe you might realize, like me, I think that certain things are actually possible. And then you can kind of go from there and figure out, okay, these things I can do. And these things are scary because of X, Y, and Z. But at least you can come up with steps for yourself to be like, okay, if I learn this, if I learn this, um, then it makes it easier because maybe I don't have those skills and that's what's making me so anxious about it. Or maybe it just seems so new. Um, so you can give yourself small things to try, like little experiments, and then that'll like confirm it to yourself, like, and it'll help ease that anxiety and at least give you answers. I think that's the whole point of this approach and planning in general is you have to give yourself feedback. Without any feedback, it's just a lofty idea in your head. It's just a dream that has nothing sort of tangible to it. So, yeah, that's where I'm at, and I will continue to break those things down and share it with you guys and share it out here, I guess. And yeah, over time, I think things will progress and I'll get some clearer answers. And I think I'll keep making these videos. I kind of like it. I kind of like the fact that I can share things and talk about what I'm doing out loud so that it's not so stuck in my head. And that it'll kind of lead me somewhere, even though I don't know exactly where it's leading yet. So for everyone else out there, if you are making a goal or trying to figure something out, yeah, highly recommend you sort of break it down, write out everything you want to do, like put it outside of your head so that you can reflect back on it. And hopefully that'll lead you somewhere. Maybe it'll lead you nowhere, but at least it'll give you some sort of clarity of what's realistic and what's not. So that's it for today, and yeah, hopefully catch you next time.